So, Tatiana, first of all, congratulations for reaching such a high step on motor racing. We all know how hard it is to stick around FIA competitions. I say that because we often see brilliant drivers leaving the sport due to lack of sponsorship or support, and it's great for any driver to get this far off, even in Formula 3. So I'd like to start from the beginning. How did your interest for motorsport started back in Colombia when you were a kid?
Yeah, I'm very fortunate because I found my passion very early on. I started go-karting when I was 9 years old. I went to a rental go-kart track near my house with my sister, and since that moment, I really loved the adrenaline and the speed. So I was always a sports lover, and I used to play soccer and tennis. But when I found karting, it was just meant to be. And since then, my passion for motorsport has grown and grown every day. I started competing in Colombia back in 2003 in a series called Easy Kart that was brought by Juan Pablo Montoya's dad to Colombia.
Great.
So it was, all that like boom that we had in Colombia because of Juan Pablo Montoya. So I followed his career very closely, and now for 4 years I've been living in Madrid in Europe, following my dreams and my passion. I've been racing Formula 3 for the last 3 years. And now this year I have a new challenge, which will be GP3, who races the same weekends as Formula 1, which is my goal and my dream to be there one day in that grid.
Great. Was Montoya a big inspiration for you? Even just watching him, have you had contact with him? Did he help you in any way to give you some tips and hints to grow in the sport?
Yeah, absolutely. I grew up watching him, winning races in Formula One. Um, Even in IndyCar, we were already following his career. I admire him. I think he's a great driver, and I had the pleasure to meet him last year in a race that I did in Bahrain. And he really helped a lot. He's got a lot of experience, and he gave me the tips that were needed that weekend, and I really appreciate his time. He also invited me to a race called the Race of Stars in Colombia back in November. So we got along very well with each other, and I respect him very much, and hopefully I can still have more of his experience and tips in the future.
Great. Do you feel like he is the biggest Colombian racer in history?
Yes, I'm pretty sure. I think he's one of the greatest in motorsport. I would say, if you look at what he's won, Daytona, IndyCar, F1 races. I can't count the wins that he has got with my fingers. So I think he's a true racer and a excellent driver.
I mean, having his influence back in when he was racing at Formula One and now in IndyCar, what can you tell us about the motorsport scenario in Colombia right now? Do you have big names growing up there from this influence that he had? Is motorsport a big thing there still, or is it kind of falling like it is in Brazil? We have some issues here, but what can you tell us about the motorsport scenario in Colombia right now?
Yeah, definitely. When he was in Formula One, there was a big boom in Colombia, and many of the drivers that are now competing in America and in Europe, even in IndyCar, Carlos Munoz, Sebastián Saavedra, all of these names, they came from that boom. And unfortunately, I think the last few years have been quite tough for us. Motorsport hasn't been a big sport in Colombia. Unfortunately, we only have one track, and we don't have any single-seater series. So it's been quite challenging because you have to go to the United States or to Europe to really learn. But of course, that makes things more expensive. And hopefully, if there's someone else, like hopefully me, going to Formula One in the near future, it will make another boom and make people interest about motorsport again.